Ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies, welcome back to episode 2 of the Risk Factor podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing great. I'm your host again, Risk Dreams, just me today. I'm excited. We're going to be doing something pretty fun and then be talking a little bit more serious about upcoming matches for Major 4. The schedules got released. So for now, what we're going to do is start off with something a little bit fun. I'm thinking that we can make this kind of like a community driven like bit, if you will, where you guys can compete against me and we can just have it be a friendly competition. There is a website and Call of Duty database called Breaking Point, where they have a bunch of statistics and they have a bunch of history on matches and players and stats. And they actually have this fun thing called fantasy. It's kind of like regular sports where they have fantasy, where you get to choose players to be put into your team. Depending on how well they do, how well the team does, a few different other factors, they'll get points. And you just go up against each other with your squad and see who can get the most points by the end of the major. So you get points for the entirety of the online qualifiers. And then also there is like a boost in the points for the major. So you want to make sure that you're picking people that you think will do well in the qualifiers and well in the major. So if I switch screens over here, I'll show you what we're looking at. I created a community Discord. Make sure you guys join that. I'll have the link in the description. Or if you click the link tree, you can see the Discord there. We're going to be putting everyone into the Discord. I'm going to make a fantasy section of the Discord where I'll post my team. Well, you guys are going to see my team here in a second. Once we kind of decide, we're going to go through and figure out what we want or who we want on our team. But you guys will also be able to submit your teams. And then at the end of the major, in about a month or so, we'll kind of look at it again, see who got the best. Maybe we can make like a special rank or something like that in the Discord where you'll have kind of like bragging rights for having the best fantasy squad throughout the major. So once Major 4 is done, we will choose a winner, or we'll see who the winner is. You'll get a special rank in the Discord. Maybe we can try and come up with something else. And you'll hold that status until Major 5 is done, where a new winner will be crowned, unless you win again, which would be pretty cool, of course. So let's just make sure. Yeah, so everything's looking good here. So like I was saying, breakingpoint.gg, if you guys want to make an account and join along, I do encourage that you do. It's really fun, and it kind of gives you like a reason to watch some of these other teams if you're not watching. I try and watch every match anyways, of course, but if you're like a fan of one or two teams, but maybe you pick someone on fantasy that's on a different squad, now you're going to be able to pay attention more. And just the more that you're watching, the more fun it becomes, the more interested you are in it, and the more invested you are in it. So the way this works on Breaking Point for your fantasy squad is you have a total of a $25 budget. So we have 4 players that we need to pick from any of the 12 teams. So there's going to be 48 selections that we can make for all the players. And there's a $25 limit where everyone will cost a different amount. So we have 4 slots, like I said, but your first slot is your captain slot. And this player will be given a 10% boost in fantasy score. So you probably want to make your most expensive pick your captain spot, because, you know, the more points they get, the more of a bonus you're going to get, of course. Unless you want to go rogue and choose a sleeper pick or something like that. But we're going to go through and try and figure out who we want on our squad here. But I'm thinking for starters, if we click this here. Okay, perfect. So this is what I was looking for. So like I said, we're already 3 majors through this year. We're kind of halfway done because there's 3 majors, 2 more, and champs. So we're kind of 3 tournaments done. There's 3 more tournaments to go. So we're getting towards the end of it, where a lot of these teams have to start hitting certain numbers in order to qualify for champs, because again, only 8 of the 12 teams are going to qualify for champs. Some of them are locked, some of them aren't. We'll go into that a little bit more in depth afterwards. But here we see the fantasy scores for last major and the majors before that. Now, actually, before we look at that, let's look here. This is going to show us how the scoring works. How does the scoring work? So if you're still there, well, read on. We've seen enough of you asking for an explanation on how the scoring works. Sorry to break it to you, but we will be keeping the nitty-gritty of the scoring private for the foreseeable future. I'm assuming this is because they don't want other platforms to just steal the way that their point system works and then build off of that. I'm assuming Breaking Point's probably going to be improving on this, so they're trying to keep their recipe a secret for now, so no one just steals it and runs away with this. So I don't mind that, but they do tell us here, however, at the high level, so like basically the scoring is based on kills, deaths, and objective work. Players that perform better on these metrics will naturally score higher than their peers. More kills, less deaths, more objective work, and you've got the workings of a star fantasy player. This makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure if wins accounts towards this. I would assume that it does. Obviously, players that are winning are going to just be doing well because they're beating teams. You got to play well to beat teams. But I'm not sure how important that is. So here you can kind of see some people in the industry, some of the bigger people in the industry, what their teams look like. But now that we know how the scoring works, we can go here. So this is going to show us the list of all the players from Major 3. So the number one scoring fantasy player of last tournament was Pred with 672 points. And second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So we see Pred, Scrappy, Shotzi. Wow, we have Shotzi, Hook, and Dashy in the third, fourth, and fifth slot for fantasy points. I mean, that makes sense to me because they went 3-2 on the online qualifiers, and then they lost one match, but then they won like 6 in a row. So I can see why they got so many fantasy points. But this is just Major 3, and we're going to kind of just look through. We see Celium here, Abizi, that makes sense. Hydra, that makes sense. Kleenex, that is honestly not surprising. With the performance that he had, Kleenex has been looking like a monster. I know I mentioned this in the last episode too. Kleenex is looking like his vintage self back in Cold War, where he's just absolutely destroying everybody. Hixie seems to have enabled him, and I'm not sure if it's a pacing thing or if they're just, better communication, but the flow of the team seems to be a lot better, where Kleenex has actually picked it up a boatload. I mean, we can probably just see here, yeah, Kleenex is like towards underneath the middle of the pack. This is Major 2. So Major 2, we have Abizi, Afro, Simp, Draza, Celium in the top 5. So Celium's pretty high up here again. Hydra's pretty high up here again. Scrappy's pretty high up here again. Let's look at Major 1. Pred's number 1 again. So Pred's been first place twice now. Major 2, he was above average, above the middle of the pack. So let's see here. Let's see who we want on our squad. So our captain pick's really important. So we probably want this to be someone that's pretty expensive. $10, $9, maybe $8, because we got to remember, we only have 25 to work with. So if I spend $10 right now, that means I only got 15 to work with the last 3. So let's see here. We got Abizi, Hydra, Pred, Scrappy, Dashy, Shotzi. Pred seems like a pretty safe pick. I mean, he was first place twice. But then if you saw Major 2 where they didn't do so hot, Pred, or where he didn't do so hot, Pred was like nowhere near the top. He was more towards the middle. And that would be a big bummer for our team if Pred doesn't have a high scoring tournament. And he's expensive. So, I mean, I'm thinking Pred. We saw Hydra at the top a lot as well. Who's $9? We have Simp, Slasher, Celium, Kleenex, Beans. Wow, Beans is $9. We did see him up there pretty high for the last tournament. I don't know. I don't trust the Beans pick just yet. Nero. Okay, so yeah, Nero I would trust more than Beans, but still I'm not sure. Then we have Hook. Oh, dang. The one sticking out to me so far is Celium. Oh, man, this guy is an MVP. We saw him at the top of the rankings at pretty much all 3 of the majors. I mean, $9, saving $1 from picking someone that's 10. And let's see here, maybe someone that's $8. Assault, Kenny, Envoy, Kismet, Sib, Awakening, Clayster. The Clayster pick's pretty scary. Awakening pick is not as scary, but I'm not sure. It's not convincing me. Same thing with Sib, Kismet. Envoy convinces me for $8. I feel like that's a decent pickup. Kenny doesn't convince me, and Assault doesn't. You know what? I think we're gonna do this. Where is he? Selling him for $9. We'll start here. Maybe we'll make some tweaks at the end, but I think that's a safe pick for our captain pick. So he's gonna get 10% more points at the end of the major. I think that's a safe pick. Like, come on. All right. Now let's look at someone that's cheaper because we just spent $9 of our $25. So we got 16 left. Anyone that's $4. ASIM. He had a rough stage. Although before that he was doing really well. London Royal Raven, London's 4th. So whoever they pick up would be $6. Just because we're not sure who that is yet because they dropped Paul X officially. Cammy, Attach, Bance, all the Rocker squad. Oh man, where's Afro? He's probably somewhere in here. I just don't see him. Temp's $5. Vivid's $5. Hixie's $5. Oh man, I think Temp for $5 is a steal, right? He can get a good KD. He oftentimes is the most consistent player on this team, especially when it comes to respawns. We see Clayster go off in the search and destroys, and I'm assuming that carries weight per map. So we'll see Clayster go off in the search and destroys, but we'll see Temp go off sometimes too. And in the respawns, you can really count on Temp. But for $5, where I think we saw Clayster up here earlier for $8. Yeah, Temp for $5 is a steal, I think. Yeah, no way I'm picking anyone else. Okay, so we got Celium, Temp. So how much do we have left? That's 14. Oh, so yeah, we got what? $11 left? So we got to pick a $5 player and a $6 player. Or a 7 and a 4. Or 7 and a 4. Ghosty, 7, Insight, Mac, Skies, Afro, Octane, Exceed, Nasty. Insight for $7. He didn't have the greatest tournament, but they did win. Same with Ghosty. He didn't have the greatest tournament, but he did get second. Skies, they got dead last. That Skies pick doesn't convince me. Same thing with Nasty, Exceed. None of these guys convince me at $7. So there might be someone in the $6 range that convinces me more. We got Joe Deceives, Draza, Priesta, Havoc, Brack, Scraps, and the London's 4th. Havoc, I can't trust. He was looking very, very, very good at the beginning of this game. I feel like he fell off a little bit. Brack, I kind of same kind of thing, right? He was on the team, off the team, on the team. I feel like it's very inconsistent for the Florida squad as a whole. I feel like no one's a hard carry on this team. They're all kind of have their moments. So I feel like it's kind of a shot in the dark. And this Draza pick, I think, might be a steal. He had a terrible Major 3. It was not good. And we've seen what Draza is capable of. He impressed me. Major 2 in Boston, he impressed me. He's playing very well during that comeback. We've seen what Draza is capable of. I think his price is so low because of his recent performance, but I think I like that because of that reason. We're going to save money on a sleeper pick. He was almost at the bottom of the placements here, I think. Yeah, he got 200 points. I mean, he's bottom 10, right? Yeah, he's 10th to last. No wonder why he's $6, but I think he turns it around. Where is he? Major 2, where they made this comeback. He's 4th. I think LAT pull it together a little bit. I do. I think LAT pulls it together a little bit. I like Draza for $6. That means we're left with another 5. So somebody next to Temp. We could choose Fellow, Accuracy, Hixie, Vivid, Temp, TJ, Too Real. Too Real doesn't convince me. TJ doesn't convince me. I mean, for the price, at least. Fellow, Accuracy. I mean, is Hixie the right answer here? Is Hixie the right answer? He gets first place in his first tournament. I mean, he didn't. I believe statistically he was third, in front of Insight. So I mean, but they won, right? That's gotta count for something. Where is he up here? Is he anywhere like, or is he somewhere in the middle? 302 points. Oh man, that's kind of stinky. But did they play the entire major together? Oh, I'm trying to think. Did they pick him up right after Major 2? Or after a few league matches? I can't remember. But I think Hicksy for $3 or for $5 is a decent pick. My other thought is Vivid. But he's very hot or cold. That's the thing. A lot of these players are like that, though. I think Hicksy's the right play. I think Hicksy for $5, Temp for $5, Draza for $6, Celium for $9 as our captain, so he's going to get us 10% extra points. I don't know. What do you guys think? I kind of like this squad. Let's see here. If I want to change anything, is there any other $9 player that I'd rather choose? Hook is also pretty enticing. He has been on a tear. It's just night and day. The difference from him on Gorillas to on Optic is just night and day. I feel like Hook is like a player with chakra and energy and vibes and mojo and stuff like that, because he just gives me those vibes. Like I feel like if he wants to be in a situation, he's going to flourish. If he does not like a situation, he's not going to flourish. It's just the type of player he is. He plays to his surroundings, and with the people that are surrounding him now and the team and whatnot, he just seems to be doing really well. Same thing with Kleenex. I feel like kind of similar situation. I feel like with Stanley on the squad, they were probably having problems. They bring in Hicksy. Hicksy's probably doing things that Kleenex was wanting from Standy, and now Kleenex is starting to pop off. Celium, I don't even have to say anything. Like, this guy's just undeniably a beast. Every tournament, every match, every game, every round, every minute, he's just impactful. Slasher's also $9. Like, I can't choose Slasher over Celium for the same price. Simp, you can make a case for. However, not really, right? Like, maybe in years past, but last year, Celium was my pick. I'm locking this in. Submit your team. Are you sure you want to submit your selections? You won't be able to modify. Yeah, let's do this. Let's see what this looks like. And bang. Okay, let's go. This is good. Our captain slot, Celium. Our secondary player is Temp. We got Draza and Hicksy as well. Hicksy don't even got a picture, man. That's okay. That's all right. We don't need pictures. We're going to get dubs with this squad. The only thing that kind of scares me a little bit is that I got 4 players from 4 different teams. So, I mean, some of these guys are just kind of guaranteed to not place well at the major. I mean, you can't have 4. I mean, unless they all get top 4. But that's unlikely. Actually, is it unlikely? I could see Toronto, Thieves, and FaZe all getting top 4 pretty easily outside of Thieves. Like, that might be a little bit harder. Vegas, top 6. Maybe a top 4, if they can be that dark horse team that I kind of think that they are. So this is the squad that we have for now for Major 4. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I'm going to post this, and then what we'll do is I'm going to tweet it out. You guys make your teams, tag me in it on Twitter with your teams. I'm going to post this. Then we'll compete and see who has the highest scoring team by the end of the major. We'll kind of keep track. We'll have a little chat. It'll be fun. Before the next segment here, I have a little bit of an idea on what I want to move into right now, because Major 4, like I said, is around the corner. It's starting, I believe, next week, and we got the matches released, like who's playing who. We got the schedule released. So if we do this, okay, perfect. And as you can see there, is Vegas going to qualify for champs? This is the question at hand, and it's a very important question because, like I said, there's only 2 more majors before champs. Top 8 seeds qualify. Now, if you look at the standings, we have Atlanta in order. Atlanta, Toronto, Optic, New York, Thieves, Boston, Seattle. Those are the top 7 teams. And I honestly feel like these 7 teams are locked in for champs. I don't see any of these guys falling out. The bottom 2 teams as far as points go are LA Thieves and Boston. and Seattle, or the bottom three are LA Thieves, Boston, Seattle. I feel like LA Thieves have a little bit too much of a point lead from that 8th place slot where they're safe. Even if they don't place great, I feel like they'll be okay. Boston is a little curious to me because they have played well and they at times have played not so well. If they just do mediocre or better, they'll be locked in. Seattle is the 7th slot with points, so they are actually technically the closest to being knocked out. But I do think Seattle has been making improvements. I do really like the direction the team's going in. They've been together for 2 years now. So I don't mind the Seattle squad. I do think they're locked in. I think they'll play decent online. They'll play decent at the major. They'll do enough. They have a gap, right? They have a gap to stay in the qualification for champs. Now, right now in the 8th slot is the Minnesota Rocker with 110 CDL points. They had 110 CDL points at the end of Major 2. At the end of Major 3, they still have 110 CDL points because you gain points by winning league matches, and then you gain points by placing at least top 7th and 8th at the major, and then obviously the better placing you get a boost in points. So the bottom 5 teams are Rocker, Las Vegas, Florida, Gorillas, London Royal Ravens. Unfortunately, I do not see the London Royal Ravens qualifying. They're making another change. They're just too far behind. They would have to play really well back-to-back majors. They would have to almost like triple their points in order to qualify, I assume. So I honestly think they're out of contention. LAG and Florida are 2nd and 3rd to last. They both have 70 points. At first, I thought this LAG team could potentially qualify for champs if things went their way after watching them at Major 2. But after seeing what happened at Major 3, Arcides had probably his worst career stage. He did terrible at the LAN. I know that he ran into the injury or whatever, but it didn't seem like he was playing great online either. So I don't see this LAG team qualifying. Unfortunately, even though they are tied with Florida at 70 points, I think Florida has a small, tiny chance at qualifying. Call it 1%. Everything would have to start clicking for this squad. I mean, they seem to be sticking together going through to this Major 4. So they have a little bit more time together now. And, I mean, potentially, but I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I don't think this team has what it takes to qualify for champs. I think a team next up who's 4th to last, so they are the first seed not in contention. So they are the 9th seed, which is the Vegas Legion. And that's why I'm saying, is Vegas going to qualify for champs? That's the question. And the team that they would have to overcome to qualify is the Rocker. So there's a 20-point difference. Rocker has 110 points. Las Vegas has 90. Now, you get 10 points per qualifying match won, and then you get a point boost for placing well in the tournament, whether as long as you place 8th or higher, because 9th through 12th get no points, which is exactly what happened. Rocker lost all their qualifying matches for Stage 3, and then they placed 12th. So they got no points, where Las Vegas Legion, they went 2 and 3, so they got 20 points from those 2 wins on the qualifier end, and then they got 20 more points 20 or 25 points for placing 6th at the major. This Rocker team has been looking down bad. They looked decent Major 1, Major 2 okay, Major 3 just downright terrible. They're sticking it out. They're not making a change. It's kind of scary. I mean, we've seen this happen where a team will start decently and then they'll fall out of contention. And I don't know, they're on a 6-match losing streak. That's not good. And we have the schedule here. So Minnesota, their online qualifier matches are Atlanta, Thieves, Mutineers, Gorillas, New York. Now, Atlanta, we can assume that's a loss. New York, a little bit more of a question mark. However, with how bad Minnesota has looked, I also feel like that's a loss. And I feel like that's the same story against the Thieves as well. The 2 matches where I feel like have a fighting chance, and I say fighting chance because in In the past, they may have just outright won these matches, but I cannot put it past these squads. Like, they could go 0-5 again. If they play as bad as they did and they don't improve, they're definitely going 0-5. The thing is, you have to assume they're going to make some sort of change to gameplay, strategics, whatever, which would be the Florida match and the LAG match. Now, if they win both of those, they're still 2-3, which isn't great. They could be starting in lower bracket, which would mean that they would have to win at least 2 series in a row to even qualify for points at the major itself. If they win only one of these and they go 1-4, that means they are definitely starting in lower bracket. And if they lose if they lose 4 out of the 5 games for the qualifiers, that means they would have lost, 10 of their last 11 matches. I just don't see Major 4 going well for them at all, to be frank with you. And then the Tiki Mat hand that we're talking about is Vegas. Their qualifying matches for Major 4 are Toronto, Florida, Boston, London, LAG. Toronto, I feel like that's an L, right? I don't think that the Las Vegas Legion are going to take Toronto for a spin at all. This will probably be a 3-1, 3-0 by Toronto. Even if it did go map 3, which Las Vegas Legion are typically hoping for, this Toronto team has been a great search team. I mean, they've just been a great team at every game mode. So I don't know. I don't think that they're going to be able to close it out versus Toronto. So I think Vegas will probably lose that one. But then their next 4 matches after that are Florida, which I believe they can win. Florida has not looked great by any means. The Legion have shown signs of life. They've shown signs of greatness. I mean, they beat Thieves. They beat some decent teams. We saw them beat Optic in the past. So I think that could be a W. They're going to play London. That should be a W. I mean, you never know, but London has just been the worst team in the league all year long. So that should be another W. The Gorillas, like I said, Alec RCD's coming off of his worst event ever. We actually saw him tweet today at Celium, Abizi, and Simp saying, "Let me back in," or something like that, or "Let's run it back next year," or just something weird like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but that could not have been motivating to his teammates on the Gorillas. So I think that's another W for the Vegas Legion. I really do. So I think that would be 3 wins for Vegas, 1 loss in Toronto, with the question mark being Boston. Boston has looked like a great team, but Boston is the exact type of team that Vegas could be to start making that run. I mean, we saw them beat Thieves again, so why can't they beat Boston? I think that match is more of a coin toss, but if that coin toss does land in their favor, that means they would be going 4-1 in the qualifiers. This would be the franchise's first time ever starting in the winners bracket. That would give them a chance at the major to actually have a breather, kind of. If they lost a match, they would still be alive in the tournament. It would give them a chance to go on a run, whether it be in the winners or the losers bracket. I do think that this Las Vegas team is actually contender or qualifying contenders for the major. If they go 4-1 and get 40 points, and then Minnesota Rocker go 2-3 or 1-4, then just off of this qualifier alone, Vegas will pass them. Never mind what happens at the major. Never mind what happens at Major 5. Now, Major 5 is more of a question mark. We'll probably see more team changes happening throughout these 12 teams before that time. But as far as Major 4 happens, I could definitely see Vegas passing Minnesota by the end of this major. I think they're the real deal. I do. I don't think that Clayster is going to be letting this opportunity go to waste. They pick up 2 real. He has looked way better than we saw him in the CDL in the past. They are a fantastic search team. We've seen them win hard points, win controls versus some of these top teams. And if they can just find a way to become consistent, I know that Boston had beaten Vegas at the tournament last major. It was pretty convincing too. It was a 3-0. However, I don't think that just because you beat one team 3-0, that does not mean that the other team can come back and beat you again. We saw that happen with Optic Boston at the same major. So with all of that being said, I really do think that this Vegas team could pass Minnesota, could take the 8th seed. It doesn't really matter past that if they get to the 7th seed, 6th seed, whatever. As long as they qualify, I feel like that's what Clayster's hoping for. I feel like that's what Temp's hoping for. He's been such a great player for the past few years, but on this Legion team that has not been performing. So I'm sure Temp is hungry to get back in there. And TJ, he's a veteran. He's also going to be looking to kind of rejuvenate his career. It has not been looking great for TJ. He gets dropped from Boston, then he gets picked up to one of the lower end teams, but they're starting to make it work. I just really want to see this Vegas team qualify for the winners bracket. So make sure you're paying attention to the Vegas qualifying matches. Toronto, Florida, Boston, London, LAG. So we'll see how they do. And as for always, guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening, watching. It's been fun. Thank you. Follow the Twitter, follow the Discord, or join the Discord. Follow my YouTube and Twitch. I want to start doing some more live content as well. Maybe we can do the podcast live. That would be fun. I have everything in the description. Please drop a follow, like, comment, and share this with your friends. Again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.